I'm Don Wildman. I'm in Cairo, Egypt, a city flooded with ancient secrets. This sprawling capital is home to the Great Pyramids, the Sphinx, and countless remains of early Egyptian civilization. But the artifacts and monuments so familiar to millions of Cairo residents and tourists hardly scratch the surface, because beneath the teeming streets of old Cairo, beneath the desert sands, are the 5,000-year-old mysteries of godlike pharaohs and the battle scars of invading empires and bloody holy wars.
Today, Cairo sprawls across the River Nile, a teeming 21st century capital. But in the desert west of the river lie the cities of the dead, Giza and Saqqara, the ancient burial sites of the pharaohs. For thousands of years, the kings of Egypt built magnificent palaces to house their souls for all eternity, the pyramids.
No monuments in the world are more recognizable than the Great Pyramids of Giza, the only remaining of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. These massive tombs still tower over modern Cairo, but not far away, the very first pyramid ever built, a full century before these at Giza, is equally impressive underground. It's called the Step Pyramid.
I'm meeting with archaeologist Ashraf El-Maghrabi, who will take me into the world's oldest pyramid. It was built for King Zoser, the second pharaoh of ancient Egypt's 3rd dynasty. It was a newly united nation seeking to show off its wealth and power.
Look at this, baby, man.
Yeah.
That is incredible.
We are in front of the first and oldest pyramid.
Exactly how old?
It's about 2700 BC.
Okay, so that's well over 4,000 years old.
That's right.
4,700 years old. Now, I'm looking at a structure that looks like a staircase, yes?
Yes, because the pharaohs were believing, after the death, the soul wanna climb the stairs.
But this was the first time that anyone had ever thought of doing this,
That's
yes?
right. That's why we believe Imhotep was a genius architect.
Imhotep was the king's minister, a doctor, priest, and the architect of the Step Pyramid. He began constructing a traditional burial tomb known as a mastaba, a space dug out from underground rock and then covered by a low, rectangular mud brick building. This had been the preferred structure for burying kings and pharaohs for ages. But a traditional monument wasn't good enough for Imhotep. He wanted to ensure his king would get to heaven. So he began to build a stairway to the sky, hoping to create something that would last forever. Instead of using mud brick, he used stone. Creating ramps made of sand, he moved the massive stones, eventually piling up to 6 layers, or steps, until it reached nearly 200 feet. He then covered it in gleaming white limestone, long since worn away and stolen. It took 20 years and 20,000 workers to build the Step Pyramid. But the real engineering triumph is hidden from view. While the famous pyramids at Giza have no more than 3 chambers and a handful of tunnels, the Step Pyramid, built 100 years earlier, has 3.5 miles of tunnels and chambers, 90 feet below the surface. It's not open to the public, but we have special access.
Think about this. We're going underneath a 5,000-year-old pyramid, the oldest of them all. Everything from the pyramids of Giza through all the great monuments of the ages, even the Washington Monument, owes itself to this structure. But what you see up here is nothing compared to what's below. This is sort of beyond cool.
So you can see the atmosphere. We are now underneath the pyramid. We are inside the heart of the pyramid.
A main passageway led us down into a labyrinth of smaller tunnels, chambers, galleries, and shafts. And it's all designed around a central shaft that leads down to a 50-square-foot burial chamber, the most important room in the structure.
There's a lot of active archaeology going on here, obviously a very valuable site, so we have to respect it and not get lost. and not die. That would ruin everything.
Death was the engine driving this amazing feat of engineering and construction.
If you want to understand everything, you have to study Egyptian mythology because everything's come from mythology.
Sure, yeah.
This is why they built the pyramid from hard stones to live forever. But they were believing, you know, the afterlife, it's eternity for them.
Sure.
The Egyptians of King Zoser's time believed in a physical existence after death. All of this was a support system, providing comfort and protection from the greatest threats to their eternal rest, grave robbers.
You're saying that he actually intended these different these different tunnels to be a labyrinth that could fool someone.
That's right, to fool the robbers. He
Yeah.
want to keep his mom away. And also he's believing, if you want to be resurrected to afterlife, you have to suffer. You have to go through many tunnels, you know? You have to go from this and this and this, and you have to get closed, and you have to suffer a lot. And after this, you will be resurrected again.
We knew we were finally near the main burial shaft when we reached Zoser's treasure chamber. It was a room that once held piles of gold and precious gems. Zoser believed these treasures would accompany him in the afterlife. The glittering walls would have been elaborately decorated with rows of blue tile and limestone.
Here, this remains of the faience here.
Oh, there it is.
The small part of it.
So it was a big tile.
Yes.
That would have been pretty much what the entire place was encased in.
Yes, it was blue.
If you come in here with a torch, you're suddenly in a blue sky.
That's right. And some blocks from the ceiling. Can see the star here.
All right.
What will be in the sky? Stars.
Yeah, exactly.
After an hour of walking through narrow tunnels and down steep, crumbling shafts, we had reached the center of the step pyramid, 90 feet below the surface, where we found the last traces of the man who inspired this monument.
So we are entering now the burial chamber of our pharaoh, Zoser.
This is all still his grave under here?
Yes, he's a sarcophagus.
Is he still in there?
No, we didn't find his mommy.
Elaborate security systems and miles of tunnels didn't work. Eventually, over thousands of years, determined grave robbers found the king's treasures, including the most essential item, the body itself. All that remains is a shattered sarcophagus. Believed to be the vessel for the soul after death, the body was carefully preserved as a mummy, locked inside a series of coffins and enclosed in a huge stone case. Lowering the 40-ton granite sarcophagus through the 90-foot overhead shaft took another stroke of genius from Imhotep, the architect. He had his workers fill the shaft with sand and place the sarcophagus on top of the pile. Then he released the sand into additional side shafts. The central shaft slowly emptied out, and once all the sand had been completely removed, Zoser's sarcophagus was left standing in the burial chamber, deep beneath the floor of the step pyramid.
Look down here. This piece of granite right here is actually the lid of the sarcophagus, of Zoser's sarcophagus. And over here is the sarcophagus, this giant piece of granite, which I guess if you keep excavating, you'd find the opening of it. That's the point of all of this effort above us. This entire pyramid is built for that guy, or that box. All right, 30 more feet down this way, the Queen's burial chamber.
Unlike the pyramids at Giza, inside the world's first pyramid, King Zoser's 11 wives and many daughters were all buried with him. They too have disappeared, the victims of grave robbers.
Look, this huge, tons of rock here, which has been carved out. This was actually the burial chamber ceiling right here. It collapsed down. And this, above my head, is the burial shaft. So this goes up 120 feet. And that's how they got the sarcophagus down here, into this space here. You can see how fragile all of this rock really is. Dry as a bone, ready to come down.
After nearly 4,700 years, the world's oldest pyramid is crumbling. But engineering a stairway that reached the sky and a labyrinth that snaked deep beneath the earth without bulldozers, cranes, or modern machinery was an achievement that launched an age of monument building and changed the world forever.
When you think about it, how much of history really dates back to this very structure? Not only the Giza pyramids down the road here, but any building of size throughout the ages, the Greek temples, the medieval castles, right into our own age of skyscrapers. Everything comes back to this, when this brilliant architect decided to build a building that went for the sky. But really, what's up there, above ground, doesn't compare to what's down here below.